Sonic games are usually a hit or miss. Some are good, some are bad. It's just the way things are. It feels like for every good Sonic game we get, there's a bad one. And for every popular Sonic game, there's one that's less popular. And those are the games we're talking about in today's video. There are 4 Sonic games that have become completely forgotten by SEGA, and also by many die-hard Sonic fans. Games that, on their own, could stand next to the other more popular games in the franchise, but they've become forgotten. Lost in obscurity. No, I won't be talking about Sonic Jam on the Gamecom or any of the Japanese exclusive Sonic arcade games or any of those weird Sonic mobile games. That's for another time. These 4 games have all been released on actual commercial game consoles, and some are actually really good. Let's rewind to 2014, the year that the Sonic Boom series hit the scene. A moment of silence for the Sonic Boom series. Yeah, this was a complete and utter failure. It had a decent TV show, a ton of merch, comics, and even games, but the Sonic Boom games were very lacking in quality, especially the Wii U game. In retrospect, this game's failure was entirely Sega's fault, and it by no means should be blamed on the development team. This game was the result of crazy scope creep and miscommunication from Sega. The 3DS game, Shattered Crystal, was a little better, but it still sucked. It was almost Metroidvania-like in a sense, and it just did not work at all. So the Sonic Boom series quickly died out. But in 2016, something weird happened. While Sonic Team was hard at work on the next mainline modern Sonic game, SEGA released another Sonic Boom game, Fire and Ice, a semi-sequel to Shattered Crystal. I can understand why they wanted to do something like this. The Sonic Boom TV show was getting a second season around the same time, so they wanted a game to go along with it. But why now? After the failure of Rise of Lyric and Shattered Crystal, interest in Sonic Boom hit an all-time low. Was this game really going to rekindle interest in the series? Well, it didn't. In fact, Fire and Ice became one of the worst-selling Sonic games of all time. But it's actually a pretty good game, believe it or not. I know, right? They actually delayed this game from a 2015 release to polish it up some more, and I think that really paid off. On the surface, this just seems like more Shattered Crystal, and when I played it as a kid, I thought the same thing. It has the same sort of level-to-level setup as Shattered Crystal, and the same gameplay philosophy. However, that philosophy has been improved a ton. The level design is no longer wide open and expansive. There's still some exploration involved, but overall, the levels are much more linear and shorter, which is definitely ideal for this type of game. The boost also works more like a boost instead of a fast toggle, if you get what I mean. And then, of course, we have the Fire and Ice mechanic, which honestly isn't all that crazy, but I'm a huge fan of how it's reaction time based. It's satisfying learning how to time your Fire and Ice mechanics at just the right point to maintain your flow state. Amy is also playable in this game, which is very nice to see, because in Shattered Crystal, the whole plot revolved around saving her, so she wasn't playable. So now we have 5 different playable characters in this game, and you swap between them to progress through the character-specific sections that are spread throughout each level. Kind of like Sonic Heroes, but way better. And it makes more sense. The boss fights have also been drastically improved, and they're actual boss fights this time, as opposed to the glorified chase sequences in Shattered Crystal. Overall, Fire and Ice is a really good game. It just sucks that it was released at the end of the Sonic Boom series instead of the beginning. If this was the game that was released instead of Shattered Crystal, and if Rise of Lyric was actually good, then who knows? The Sonic Boom series might have been a larger success. Keeping the handheld game trend going, there was a handheld console released in 1999 that you might not have heard of before, and that is the Neo Geo Pocket Color. This was SNK's short-lived experiment to compete with Nintendo's Game Boy Color, and it only sold a couple million units. Anyway, despite its low popularity, there was indeed a Sonic game released for this handheld. In December of 1999, we got Sonic Pocket Adventure, a 2D side-scrolling classic Sonic game for the Neo Geo Pocket Color. And this game set a lot of milestones for the series too. It was the first original Sonic game to be released on a handheld and not manufactured by Sega. It was also the first 2D Sonic game to be released in the quote-unquote modern era of Sonic. As you can see, Sonic's eye color is green, which signifies that this is not classic Sonic. This little game has a lot more importance than you may initially think, which is why it really sucks that I see nobody talking about it. At a glance, it kind of just looks like a poor man's version of Sonic 2. And yeah, it kind of is. Same level environment, similar special stages, identical bosses, you get the idea. But disregarding the reuse of aspects from Sonic 2, there's a really good game here. Hell, IGN gave it a perfect 10 out of 10 score. What the hell? The gameplay, while basic and pretty much what we're normally used to, It's fun. I also really dig the art style. The more simplistic pixel art on these everyday Sonic environments has a unique charm to it. And then there's the Sonic sprite, which I also really like. Again, it just sucks how this game has been forgotten by most people. I think this game would have benefited a lot from a re-release at some point. Maybe they could have included it in Sonic Origins or maybe even Sonic Gems Collection. Just something. I think we can all agree that Sonic is no stranger to having spin-off games in different gaming genres other than platforming. He's been around for a long time, and over the years, we've gotten Sonic racing games, Sonic fighting games, and we even had a taste of Sonic sports games through the Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games series. But what about party games? Mario has like a million of them, so Sonic has to have at least one, right? Yes. Yes, he does. The Dreamcast. I love this stupid thing. When we think of Sonic games released for the Sega Dreamcast, our minds immediately think of the adventure games. And for good reason. These two games helped keep the Dreamcast afloat, and they're just iconic. But there's a third Sonic game that was released near the end of the Dreamcast life. And unlike Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, it never saw a single re-release. Sonic Shuffle, the only Sonic party game to ever be released. Unless if you count Sonic Pinball Party or that weird multiplayer mode in Secret Rings, but whatever. This was obviously made to compete with Mario Party, because Mario Party was really popular, and the games were really good. The key word is were. What the f happened? But even in an attempt to copy Mario's homework, Sonic Shuffle is so bland and boring. For this type of game, I feel like you should try more to set yourself apart from the competition. Sonic racing games do this all the time. For the most part. Like with Sonic Riders, that had f***ing hoverboards. Mario Kart wasn't doing that. But Sonic Shuffle is literally just a Mario Party clone with a half-assed story and gameplay. But instead of dice, you use cards. The minigames are fine and the boards are also just fine, but damn, it's such a painfully boring game. So I can actually see why this was never re-released, because nobody liked it. The game faced mediocre reviews from critics, and I can't imagine that it sold that well given Sega's current circumstances at the time. Like, the game just sucks, okay? But I am kind of curious to see how Sega would handle a modern day Sonic party game. But at the same time, like, please don't do that, just focus on other things. Let's end this video on a semi-high note by talking about a game that barely features Sonic. Back in the Genesis days, Sega experimented with making these add-ons to their console when new technology was introduced, instead of just making a new console. When CD gaming was becoming popular, they released the Sega CD add-on, which actually sold a decent amount, given that it was just an add-on for the Genesis. I'm sure most of us are familiar with the Sega CD. But there was another add-on release for the Sega Genesis when 32-bit gaming hit the scene, the Sega 32X. This tumor slotted right into the top of the Genesis, and with it, you could play 32-bit Genesis games. All 6 of them. One of the games in this small library was Knuckles Chaotix, which to this day is the only Sonic game to star Knuckles front and center. And that's a damn shame because this game is actually kinda good. Just a little bit though. As the title implies, this is also the first game to introduce the Chaotix, Vector, Espio, and Charmy. Mighty was here too, but then was never seen again for a while. As for the gameplay, it's a bit different from the other Sonic games being released at the time. You control 2 characters at once with a tether keeping them together. So this introduced some pretty wacky gameplay that involved you using the band's elasticity to traverse the mostly vertical levels. Each character has different abilities, and if you want to just completely break the game, then do yourself a favor and play as Charmy, as he can just fly over everything. And you don't even have to worry about the game's awkward mechanics. The game is fairly short and it won't take too long to get through. I just think it's kind of weird how the level you play is selected at random. Like, what's up with that? There's even a secret finale if you collect all of the Chaos Rings from the special stages, and I actually really like the special stages. They look really cool. But yeah, I do kinda like this game. It's not great by any means, but it's not bad. It does baffle me how this game never got a re-release, even in Sonic Gems Collection, which would have been the perfect opportunity to re-release this game. It got a slight cameo in Sonic Origins with its soundtrack, and obviously the Chaotix do still show up in Sonic games, but damn, Sega really doesn't care about this game. It wasn't the most popular, especially considering that it was released for a console add-on that didn't even hit 1 million units sold, but I like it. So those were a handful of Sonic games that were forgotten by not only many Sonic fans, but Sega as well. Even though some of these games are hidden gems in the series, they were obscured by a number of differing factors. Some were stuck on hardware that didn't perform well, others were released as a failed attempt to revive a dead series, and some are bad, yeah, some are just bad. So let me know what you guys think about these games in the comments down below. Do you like any of these games? And are there any other Sonic games that you would consider forgotten that I didn't mention in this video? Who knows, I might make a follow-up in the future. But for now, that's all for me. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all later. Goodbye.